You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching the Underdog Show. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am thrilled to bring our guest today forward because she has an amazing story and she's accomplished so much. And that's what this show is all about. It's about hearing how people have overcome adversity and they give hope and inspiration to the world. And don't we need more of that every single day? My guest today is a singer, a songwriter, and a vocal coach. She's also an award-winning composer. Let's bring her out. Her name is Ali Ramsaier. Hi, Ali. Nice to see you.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. It's nice to see you too.
I am so excited to be able to help you share your story. As I just mentioned in the intro, there's so much going on in the world wherever you are. There's so many reasons to be sad or feel isolated or lonely, and yet we have to pick ourselves up every day and find positivity and energy and help one another. So thank you for being here to share your story.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I'd like to start off with what you would like to share. When you think of yourself as an underdog, or you thought of yourself as an underdog, what did that look like to you?
As an underdog, I mean, I've had a lot of struggles even growing up with being bullied, feeling different, whether it was with family members or cousins or school members. So as an underdog, it's just someone who sticks out in a different way that's not following the grain of the norm. So when you're younger, you feel as if there's something wrong with you. But as you grow older, you notice that as an underdog in one way or the other, that there's something special about you that you have to let push through.
Thank you so much. That's a great explanation. You know, something that you just hit on yesterday, I actually shared this with someone. I love to sing, but I had dated two different guys at different times, and they both told me I had a horrible voice and I should never sing. So for all these years, I've walked around feeling like, oh, you're a loser. Don't let anyone hear you sing. So I just sing in private, in the shower, in the car or something. But the point is that as we grow older, we realize that in some way we have been emotionally damaged by what other people have said about us or said to us. So you just shared a little bit about that, being bullied and feeling like you weren't exactly like everyone else. And by the way, why should you be, right? Why should you be like anyone else? But yet people want us to conform to certain things. So for people out there who are watching, what would you say to them in terms of, I just shared with you how people put me down in certain ways. What's a good way to address that when someone is trying to make you feel bad about yourself or say things that aren't even valid or true?
I think there's two things to say to somebody about, if they're saying that there's something about you that's not true, I've had to learn saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. Because I think as a society or as a person, we just want that validation, that acceptance so much. So when someone says something negative, if you continue to think that negativity, even though it's 100% not true, you're going to start believing it's true. And then that energy perpetuates going out forward. So taking a moment back for yourself before reacting is very important, because at the end of the day, we know our true selves. So whether it's, with singing's one thing. So singing is a muscle, so it can be trained any different way. But your outcome's going to be different because you and I are both genetically made different. But if someone tells you that, let's see, one thing for me, people thought that I was weird because as a young kid, I was writing songs and plays and wanting to do that. And I wasn't outside playing sports or going on the playground. I was sitting down writing a notebook. But I'm sorry that they felt that way. At the end of the day, thinking back on it, it's I am who I am today because of the things that I like, and you are who you are today because of the things that you like. It doesn't make someone better or less than.
Great point. Thank you. I know when I started this business last year, I started producing a newsletter, and every week I would go and see, oh, who's reading the newsletter? And then I would see people unsubscribe, and it just hurt my feelings. And I remember I said to my sister, I said, I don't understand. I really know XYZ well for all these years. Why would that person unsubscribe? And my sister said, Jacalyn, it has nothing to do with you. That has to do with the other person. It's not about you. So to what you just said, when people were saying, why aren't you on the playground or why aren't you involved in sports? That was something that was going on with them, really, that had nothing to do with you. So you are able to take what interests you and your passion from a very early age and do something really amazing that, you are award winning and you're actually able to help other people use their voice. So when you mentioned you had notebooks and you started when you were very young, when did you realize that you really had something, that you really were talented?
I mean, singing wise, I used to always be like projected out like to doing talent shows or being asked to sing things. Like I grew up going to Catholic school, and they'd asked me to sing during the benediction, like a solo in between after communion. So being asked for that, I knew there was something special there. Like my dad, when you're younger and there's like a special talent, your parents are always like, hey, you got to hear this from like the parties. But like I was starting to get asked to sing and perform and do different things. But when it came to writing like songs, I don't think I really noticed the songwriting stuff until I was older. I mean, I used to always write like reading. When you're like in kindergarten, you have like the little faces that we put with the people's names. So it's almost like you're reading a script when you start to read. So you have the person's face and you see what they're saying. They have the picture. And I would write things like that when I was like 5, 6 years old. But like when I started really, really writing like shows and whatnot, it wasn't until my 20s I started doing that. And the first musical that I fully wrote was Closing Doors. And it was based off my own personal experience. I was in a really abusive relationship, and I finally left it. I was in it for about 2.5 years. So I started to write actually a novel about it. And during the novel, I'd get so emotional, like recollecting different scenes that happened or scenarios that happened, that I would do a stream of consciousness, and the stream of consciousness turned into songs, and then the songs turned into a musical. And when I finally finished Closing Doors, I had to submit it for the Atlanta Musical Theater Festival. And out of 44 submissions that were submitted internationally, they picked 4, and I was one of them. So on my first submission, I was selected. And I was like, okay, something must be going on here, So since then, I've been pumping out and writing a lot.
Wow, congratulations. That's so exciting. So what does it mean to you that you were one of 44 who were selected? That's amazing.
I mean, I don't think it really hit me. I was shocked. And there's something about too, like when, look, for me, for an example, for things that have happened in my life, it's when something gets selected, and as a performer, as a writer, you just get that gut feeling that something's going to happen. But I didn't understand the gravity of it until right when the curtain opened. But it was an amazing experience. I learned so much as a performer, and even as like backgrounds, like doing producing and things like that too. But it's a really big deal to have your story shared with people. I was more worried about sharing my story with an audience than not even realizing how big of a deal it was until after the fact, that there's people that were submitting from Japan and England that were trying to be considered to be 4 slots for this performance, and mine got picked. So it's an honor, and it's almost like a shift in a direction that you like people just don't think that you had before. Our journeys in our life are different. I'm sure that's happened with you too. I mean, you were just saying with your newsletter, and then look where you are now, and I'm being interviewed on your own show. So like the way that we envision our paths of our lives is different than what could actually happen. So.
Exactly. Very well said. A question I have for you in regards to your success. Have you been able to eliminate the concern about what other people think? Does it still come into play, or do you think to yourself, you know what, I know what I'm doing. I'm really good at what I'm doing. And if somebody, because there's always haters, there's always people who are jealous or people who want you to fail, unfortunately. So have you been able to channel that out of your mind and just continuously move forward?
I think regardless of what people have said, I always move forward. I feel like in my life, I've always had to prove people wrong. And the struggles of what have pushed me to continue doing what I feel like my mission is. So there are times, yes, I'm still working on it, where it's like, you want that self-evaluation. One thing when I went to college, a professor told me that at the end of the day, when you're performing in a concert, the audience doesn't need you, you need the audience. And it's so true. I mean, they could buy any ticket they want to go see whoever they want to. They could go to a restaurant, they could go to a movie theater, but they chose to see you. And you need their attention and their appreciativeness for you to keep you thriving. So I think it's a constant struggle for any creative person, anyone in an entertainment outlet, that we want that acceptance. But you just need to keep pushing through, because if people are hating on you, you must be doing something right.
Yes. And actually, a friend of mine wrote on Twitter, this is probably last year, that he finally had made it because he has his first hater or something like that. So how would you categorize your genre of music? Does it fall into one category or classification?
I hate doing that. I think almost every musician hates doing that. I write based on how I feel. So, like, for example, Closing Doors is not a typical musical. I wrote it as if there would be songs that you would hear on the radio. So one song would be pop, another one would be soul, another one would be jazz. And then I would use different genres of that too. So if I had to pin it into a category, it would probably be like pop contemporary. But artists I would describe my music, or people have described my music as, is a mix of like Sierra Bareilles, Carole King, with a little bit of like Adele, Aretha Franklin into it. So it's a mixture of styles, and then artists that I've been exposed to in my life.
Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to elaborate a little bit and have you weigh in whether or not I have this, if I understand correctly. So yesterday I took my first voice lesson, and a takeaway for me was that the more an artist is able to cut the boundaries that you were just talking, you don't like to be put into a box or category, the more interesting, the more that person can be relatable across many cultures, and because you're not just one type of song, one type of music. And something I thought was really interesting since I've been doing this show, we've had several opera singers on who are doing rap. And I never would have, they seem so diametrically opposite, but yet they're brought together, and it's actually quite beautiful. So thank you for clarifying that you are more than just one type of category of music. I think that's great.
I think, as you were saying with your vocal lessons, the way that I approach, because I teach voice lessons too, is that you need to learn the technique. The technique is about how to breathe correctly, where your placement is, but you can sing in any style or genre. Now, how your voice is made with it and what fits you best may be a little bit different, but we can sing and mix everything too. And it's funny you said that about an opera singer doing rap, because I actually have a song that's on iTunes. It's called Ishq Bibble. And I mixed hip hop with jazz into that. So it has a bit of a ragtime feel, and I did a cross genres interchange for it. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. We're going to take a break, but before we do, I'd like to just have you touch on the fact that the pandemic has been tough for creatives. I'm not saying all creatives, but many creatives, because they're used to performing in front of an audience and they're not able to. And then we've had other creatives on here who have talked about the fact that trying to earn a living, whether it's on iTunes or wherever your content is, that the content creators do not get the bulk of that revenue. Is that correct?
No, you don't. I mean, you get like 1/1000th of a cent, and that depends on whether you're using Spotify or Apple Music as opposed to Pandora. So one is 1/100th of a cent for every stream, and then another one is 1/1000th of a cent. And it just depends on whether you choose it or if the radio station that you have chooses, like Pandora. So yes, it's absolutely insane. But we can talk more about that after the break too, because I could go on forever on that.
Yeah, I'd really like to hear more about that. And as an artist, once you record a track or an album, do you have the option of deciding where it goes? Or I don't know how that works. So let's come back on that. And then you're going to perform live for us. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm going to perform live for you guys.
Yay! All right. Thank you so much. And if you're watching us on YouTube, if you could just click that little red subscribe button, you will be informed of all of our shows we have this week. I think we have 20 shows. So we'd love for you to, we'd love for you to watch all of our shows and engage with our guests. And so if you'd like to ask Allie any questions or make some comments and you're watching on the live, we understand everybody can't watch while it's live. People are at work or wherever they are. So we understand, but we'd love to hear from you. Okay, we're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors. We're going to start with Margie Cedrone, Artisan Jeweler, and we'll be right back. Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, Artisan Jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You will remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go to a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching the Underdog Show. And my guest today is Ali Ramsaier. And she is quite talented. She's actually going to perform for us today. She's a singer, songwriter, and vocal coach. She's also the award-winning composer of Closed Doors and Zoe. You can find her over on Instagram, and you can just look for her name. ALIRAMSAIER. So welcome back. And before we took the break, I was just touching on how creatives actually get paid. And do you have the luxury of deciding where your music goes in terms of iTunes or Spotify or Pandora? So can you share a little bit about that for us?
Sure. So, I mean, I'm an independent artist, so I'm not signed to anything, to a label or whatnot. But like, let's say I wanted to release a song. What I've done in the past is I've used CD Baby, and it's a distribution site. So you can choose wherever you want it to go to, but it just gives you a drop down list of whatever you want. So like, for example, I have 2 songs out for streaming anywhere, and I have it on Apple Music, I have it on iTunes, I have it on Spotify, I have it on Tidal, and the list goes on and on. I think it's probably about like 150 different streaming sources. And what CD Baby does is you pay a flat fee. So I think it was like around $50, and then they collect everything for you. And then once you make a certain amount, they'll give it back to you. I had Ishkabilla on there when it was they had iTunes still, so they were collecting the money from people actually buying that single. So buying music an artist makes more of. So I was charging 99 cents for it, and then I was getting 69 cents. But if I had other songwriters with me, which I did, a portion of that went to them. And then if I had a label, money would go back to them too. So the pie chart gets smaller and smaller for you, the more people that you have involved, but there's a give and take with that as well.
Interesting. You just made me think about something, Ali, which is I have a book which actually became a bestseller last year, and it's $19.99. Thank you. Yeah. But I actually get $8 and some change from the $19.99, and Amazon takes the rest of it. So I think that wow. Everybody's got their hand in the pie, right?
Well, so if we're going to talk like business with that too, so like when you register a song, because you have to do copywriting and things like that too, they'd actually divide a song into 200%. So 100% of it goes to songwriters, and then the other 100% goes to publishers. So like, let's say you have a song that goes out to be used as sheet music, then they're getting a cut of that unless you have a deal with them. And then if there's an artist with it, they get a certain amount from performing a song. So if I sold a song of mine to an artist to perform, I would get a cut of that from the publishing and then the songwriting side, and the artist would get a little certain amount from it being actually theirs. So how is it for a book? Because I'm just curious.
So for the book, you can self-publish or you can have a publisher. So since it was my first book, I had a book coach, and together we published it on Amazon. So my understanding is that Amazon, they're taking the rest, right? I'm getting $8 and some cents. So they're getting, just under $12, I guess. And my understanding is that they take that. I don't know how they divvy it up, but I just know what it is that I get. And then of course I hired my book coach and paid him separately.
Okay. Interesting. I've been wanting to publish my book that I wrote Closing Doors from. So I've been researching and dabbling there, but like when it comes to the business side of like putting out content, it always interests me. So, and books are a different avenue as opposed to music. So
absolutely. Well, I highly recommend the gentleman that I worked with, Red O'Laughlin. I can give you his contact information because he really helps you get on track. Like I'm publishing my second book, and we meet every Tuesday. And so yesterday it's kind of like, okay, I want to have this launched by the holidays. What do we have to do? So we back into it. And so now I know exactly what I have to do, and he knows what he has to do so that we meet the deadline. In the meantime, getting a book cover is very important, because once you have that cover, you can start to market it and let the world know it's coming. So build up that
Oh yes, we talked about that with singles too, because as an independent artist, it's all about the promotion. So if you need to have a appropriate cover art for your song for people to click on, because sometimes they just pick it just based on how it looks. So if that's not interesting or doesn't look clean or whatnot, then people aren't going to pick that up as well too. So
very true, very true. Well, I can hardly contain myself. I'm so excited for you to perform. I'm going to spotlight you and go backstage. Let us know what it is you're going to perform. Is it one piece, or how many songs are you going to sing?
Well, I can do as many as you want. So I'll do one, and if you want another one, I'll do another one. So.
Okay, perfect. I'll come back after the first one, and then we'll have a little conversation. Okay, right. Here you go.
Okay. So the first song I'm going to sing is, I just pulled it up. Yes, it's a song I wrote. It's from my musical Closing Doors. This is called Oil and Water. It's been a month since you've been home. I feel ashamed. I feel alone. I want you back, but I'm afraid it won't be the same. I heard you left to be with her, love of your life. She's not your wife. You said she's poison from your past, but I understand. Somehow I understand. Sometimes oil and water don't mix. Black eyes and busted lips are not love gifts. Gotta pick up the pieces and go. 'Cause if I stay, I'll never grow. You always yell words of hate, bad memories you'd instigate. Still I fell hard and wanted you, and I saw so much more in you. You covered up. You told me lies. You hit me hard. You made me cry. And I stood still and I took it all. But it's over now. It's over now. Sometimes oil and water don't mix. Black eyes and busted lips are not love gifts. Gotta pick up the pieces and go. 'Cause if I stay, I'll never grow. Gotta spread my wings and learn to fly. Know my worth and learn that there's a special guy. Sometimes oil and water do mix. Black eyes and busted lips are not love gifts. Gotta pick up the pieces and go. 'Cause if I stay, I'll never grow. You'll never change, and so I'll go. Because if I stay, I'll never grow.
Beautiful. I was starting to cry. I had to get myself together. I was like, oh, your eyelashes are going to fall off. Stop. No, that was really beautiful, really. So you had mentioned that, I think you had mentioned that this is an outpouring of your own life. So is this what happened to you? Someone broke your heart this way?
This is an outpouring of me. Yes, I went through a lot right after I graduated from college. I was on the top of the world. I went to my dream school. I was doing all the things, and I came home, had a hard time finding work, and then my father got really sick. He had a bacterial infection in his bloodstream, and he woke up from a medically induced coma, paralyzed. And after 9 months, he passed away. And I was having a hard time finding myself, hard time finding work, just how the economy was. And I ended up meeting somebody, and I thought that they were going to be my world, and they made it seem that way. And it ended up being an actual nightmare. I was in an abusive relationship in any way you could think of for about 2.5 years, and I had to leave. And I couldn't take it anymore. I was tired of being stressed, and I left. And I ended up writing about what happened, because it's just one of those things where you're like, you're not going to believe this. Or when someone's like, I've been in something weird, I might hold my beer, but I ended up writing 60 songs about everything that happened with me. I wrote a book, and then I ended up traveling and going to places. I was like, okay, I have to do the things I want to do in my life, because my dad would have been upset if I didn't do that, and I have to do it for me. So I went to, and now I'm getting teary. I'll stop. But I went to LA. I went to New York. I went to LA, I went to New York, and I went to Nashville for different things involving music and the entertainment industry. And I just kept writing and writing and writing. So Closing Doors is about my life. It's about domestic abuse. It's about getting into a relationship, and then through the online world. So like meeting someone online, it shows the reactions, how different people act when you're in a bad relationship, how you see it and how they see it. And then it talks about what happens afterwards. So sometimes people think, oh, she left or he left, because it can happen to anybody. It can happen, or they left. It can happen to anybody. And just because you leave doesn't mean it's over. And for me, it wasn't. I mean, I had men and women messaging me that were involved romantically with the person I was with while I was with them, or other parts of their lives, and I was still getting harassed. So I ended up taking the person that I was with to court, and he ended up going to jail for some time. And I wrote the story about that, because sometimes you just have to speak up. And I felt like that my story could help and heal others, help people to leave situations if they're in them, or give awareness to people who are experience a loved one being part of that there's only so much that you can do until that person's ready, but there's a way that you should talk to someone who's in a situation like that, and there's a way that you shouldn't. So I wanted to bring awareness to that.
That is outstanding. Really, that is outstanding. I appreciate and I applaud your courage and your bravery for telling the story. I also was in an abusive relationship myself, and it almost ruined me. But at least in my situation, I kept feeling smaller and smaller to the point where I was almost invisible. But yet I was able to get my master's degree and get my doctorate. And so I think we throw ourselves into things, that help us channel all of the great and wonderful things we have to offer, where somebody else is literally beating us up mentally and physically. So good for you for taking action and having this person, pay the price that they needed to pay.
Thank you. And good for you for getting out too. I mean, look, we're both in better places now. So
yes, definitely. Okay. I'd love to have you perform something else. What's your next piece going to be?
Sure. I'll do another one from the show. It's called Maybe You'll Love Me More. So in this song, how I had it in the show, we're rewriting the show right now, but this was, it's about if someone someone's treating you poorly and you think, well, they're hurt. So if I stay, maybe they'll love me more. They'll understand that I'm being here for them, which is not always the case.
Yes. Okay. There you go.
I can't get out, locked inside my head. Brainwashed with tears and the keys in my bed. I'm just a fool for your love, trapped in this prison cell. Give me attention, I'll run until I stitch between your cheeks. But if I stay, maybe you'll notice me more. If I stay, maybe you'll love me more. A lovesick puppy is just like me. I will do anything to make you happy. Why keep on ignoring me? But if I stay, maybe you'll notice me more. If I stay, maybe you'll love me more. Just have to keep a good face, dress myself, be perfectly poised, obey your every order, ignore other boys. From the crowd, feed me kisses, send the clouds, see other women, I'll be right here. But if I stay, maybe you'll notice me more. If I stay, maybe you'll love. If I stay, maybe you'll love. If I stay, maybe you'll love me more. Maybe you'll love me more. If I stay, maybe you'll notice me more. If I stay, maybe you'll love me more.
You have a beautiful voice, the voice of an angel. And I love the words and I love the way you perform. My question for you is, will someone love you more, notice you more if you stay, if they're not paying attention? My experience, because I thought the same thing, the answer was a big no.
It's definitely a big no. Yeah, it's a big no. Yes.
It's a big no. I remember a friend of mine, she was married and she always said her husband never noticed her. So she actually just decided to come out. There was a football game playing and I guess their friends were over, a bunch of guys. So she came out naked in front of the screen and she was in front of the TV. And he was like, can you move out of the way? I can't see that. I can't see this. And his friends were going, whoa. So that marriage didn't last too long. But so my question for you is, do you also write, do you compose the music and you write the words?
I do.
It's incredible. And which comes first?
It depends. It really depends. Sometimes it could be, I hear a melody in my head, or there's been a few times where, like, if I'm talking with someone and they say something or I say something and it's like, okay, I have to go. It feels like, I always say, like, there was a show growing up for me. It was called That's So Raven. She would have like this, like her eye would like tunnel into like tunnel vision in a way, horse blinders. Mm-hmm. And it almost feels like there's a vessel within me and it just comes through. So, and it comes out. There's been other times too where I need to channel something. So if there's a vibe, like for instance, the last song, Maybe You Love Me More, I was listening to Amy Winehouse's Back to Black. And I had that, the emotions and feelings I had from that. And then, every song I've picked with has a certain intention, especially with like this show. So like the person that I was with, he was obsessed with Earth Angel. So I mixed Amy Winehouse with Earth Angel vibe styles to create that. So each time I write, it's just different. And I just let it come through. And when it's done, it's done. I think that song took about 15 minutes to write.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing. You just mentioned Amy Winehouse, and I just wanted to share, I actually had the pleasure of interviewing someone named Sam Shaker, who he says he was like a second father to Amy, and he actually discovered her. She came into his club, Jazz After Dark, over in London. Wow. And so he has a whole room that's a tribute to Amy, and he does all these oil paintings, and he's done one of the Queen and a lot of very famous celebrities. He also did Obama, but he's got all these pictures of Amy Winehouse that are there. And so we've done, I think, two interviews with Sam Shaker so far about his relationship with Amy. He was like a second father to her. So it's kind of
beautiful.
Kind of cool. Kind of cool. So, Allie, what's next for you?
Next for me, well, I know right now, so what happens when you write a work, it's never done. You have to work on it. So after we did Closing Doors, we got feedback from it too, which was so great after the show. So right now I'm working with my book writer, and we are about to do a book reading, planning actually sometime this week to prepare within the next few weeks to do a reread of our new version of the show. And then what else am I doing? And then after that, I'm also going through a lot of different like personal things right now. So I'm trying to focus on like my health and whatnot, but I'm also working on making an album. Hopefully that'll be available sometime in the next year. So those are the two big things that I'm working on right now.
Well, I love that. And first and foremost, we have to focus on our health, right? We have to focus on self-care. Before we close out the show, I think you touched on this, you hit on this in the beginning about our voice. Everyone has a voice and has the ability to sing, whether they think so or not. And you are a vocal coach. So I'd love to hear how you work with your clients. And if people are trepidatious, like I shared, I don't know if I shared backstage or here, but I always wanted to be like Michelle Pfeiffer and the Fabulous Baker Boys. And I took my first vocal lesson yesterday. So how can people embrace this fact that their voice can transform them and transport them? And working with a coach like you is really such a great idea to get this out, to get them to tap into what's in here.
Well, when you're taking a voice lesson, everyone has their different goals. So it's just different for each person. So I have some students that want to audition for their school musical. I have adult students who have never taken a voice lesson in their life, in the similar situation of what you said, where people have told you that you couldn't sing, and obviously it's their problem, because at the end of the day, we're all not going to go out on stage and be a Sam Smith or an Adele and Aretha Franklin. Some people just want to be able to sing karaoke, and then with singing, it releases endorphins. It's a stress relief. So if this is a hobby for someone as a way to let out those everyday trepidations, it's fine. But when we sing also, it shows a vulnerable side of us. And so many of us are afraid to open up and just be honest with ourselves and with others. So taking voice lessons is not just learning how to sing. You're learning about your body. You're learning how to express yourself a little bit more. You learn how to speak better. You learn how to gain confidence. It's almost like a therapy session. And there's been times in my voice lessons where it ends up being something where we're talking about what happened during your day and then projecting what's happening that into singing something later. So voice lessons are a lot of things in one. It's not just learning how to become the next Beyonce, because it's never been like that for any of my students. Every lesson I've taught has been different. Every curriculum I've done is differently. The only thing that stays the same is my first lesson, which is I show videos and charts of how your voice actually works. And then we break it down. So some lessons, it will be someone ends up singing a song. Sometimes it's just learning how to breathe correctly. And when you breathe correctly with singing, a focused breath, it relaxes you. So you're learning so many different things about yourself in a voice lesson. It's not just, I'm going to go do this, because your goal is going to be different than somebody else's goal. And you know what? That's okay.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. I found that the lesson was completely not what I expected. I was asked to pick two songs, and one of them was come fly with me. What is that? Come fly with me, come fly. What?
Let's fly away. Yeah.
Yes, that one. And so I thought I was just going to be singing that and she would critique that. But we started off focusing on the breathing, and I wasn't aware that there's a head voice, there's a chest voice, and so just by doing the breathing exercises, it was kind of tiring. And what I found out was, I guess from doing yoga and Ujjayi breath, is that I have the ability to hold breath for, I don't know what it's called, for a long time, like 14 seconds. I don't know what that's called.
That's an exercise that I actually do with my students. We do hissing and we do deep focused breathing. And there's one where I just do a long hiss. I don't know if you did that too. And it's funny you mentioned yoga too, because I've noticed I've taught yoga instructors, like, you're teaching the same thing I'm doing. And I was like, so your throat chakra must be blocked right now. But I'll give you we do a long hissing one where I've had students do 9 seconds. On a good day, I can do 1 minute 30, 40 minutes. 30. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that helps you with your core strength. You're working on your core, and people don't realize that. I mean, opera singers, yes, they have big, loud voices, and our voices are so small. A woman's voice is only 10 millimeters. That's not even the full length of a dime. So our voices are literally so small, and look how big they are. Whether we're talking and singing. It's not like you're taking a piano lesson and it's sitting there collecting dust. We take it with us to sleep, to eat, everything. So you have to learn how to take care of your body too while you're doing your voice.
Such a great point. I also thought it was interesting. She had me do some neck rolls, and as I was doing it, and I just taken yoga yesterday, and I thought, I'm all limbered up, but my neck was like crack. And she said, you're very tense. And I said, you know what? I guess I really am. You don't even realize how tense you are half the time. And for people who are not vocal coaches or singers, or they're not meditation students or yogis, they haven't even tapped into the power of their breath.
No.
It's amazing when we don't breathe deeply and we're just breathing shallowly, that I found that we're kind of doing that in our lives, just as we're living at a surface level.
Yes. It's amazing. And then when you breathe deeper, you just feel so more balanced after you do that too. You feel more centered and more calm. We're all running at a surface level. That's an interesting point of view to put that for, but yes, it is true. Have you done any jaw tension stuff too? Because you're probably going to realize how much jaw tension you have, because I do that.
No, I haven't done that.
Yeah, you're going to find out those very soon too. I'm sure everyone has jaw tension. Think about it. We use our jaws to chew, talk, everything. So, I mean, there's a lot more to it.
That's true. Well, Ali, we have time for one more song. Would you like to perform another?
Sure.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No, let me look through the Barney bag. Hold on. What? That's an instrumental. Let's see.
I'm just really enjoying it. So I would love for you to.
I would love to. Yeah. I'm going to have to pull out from another thing. So just give me a second and I'll pull that out. Sure.
While you're doing that, I'll let our viewers and listeners know that we have another show coming up after this. It's the Business Show, which is always fun. And my co-host is Mr. Alcini, and my friend Marty DeFont is going to be on today. I just love her. She's a company called Edgagement, and she provides micro learning. So you can actually take short bite-sized lessons right on your mobile device. You can take a quiz, and it really helps people stay top of mind. Like, think of a Salesforce who's traveling, or if you're working from home and you only have a few minutes to get educated on a topic, you can do micro learning. So do stay tuned for that. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which is 7 p.m. British summer time. All right, let's go back to Ali and see how she's doing. Hi.
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 Let me see. I think I have one for you. I was trying to look for an upbeat one, but I don't have that many on here. I have my ballads, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's great.
Okay, let me just double check that someone's not singing on this. So you were talking about the pandemic earlier before too, and I actually ended up writing another musical, Zoe, which we have on the screen down below. I wrote that during the pandemic. We wrote it in 3 months, and we did all rehearsal, and then we filmed it, and then it got selected for the Georgia Thespian Conference. So I'm looking through my files right now that I had.
Yes. Okay. I'll put you backstage for the moment. And something I just want to share with everyone, and Ali's going to address this before we leave, but if you're going through something, you can come out of it. You will come out of it. It's a moment in time, and you can take that time while you're going through something and create something so incredibly beautiful. And Ali just shared that with us. So let's have her back on the stage. Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Thank you. So this one is called Bulletproof. It's for my show Zoe, we talked about life. So there's different aspects of life. And my mom side is from Greece. Like my grandmother immigrated here from Greece right after World War II. And I incorporated different cultural things from Greece, but I also wrote songs about different parts of the life. So this section is about when you lose faith, but this is about being stuck in the thick of things, which I think people will relate to. And it's okay to be sad sometimes, but this is called Bulletproof. I can't look in the mirror anymore, and I spend each night on the bathroom floor. I don't care what my friends have to say. They are fake and don't know me anyway. I struggle to get dressed every day. Brush my hair, throw my makeup away. Leave a pretty dress on the closet floor. No use to wear it. It's a chore, but they see me as bulletproof. Bulletproof. And anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? There's no use. I'm scared of what will happen. There's no way to get through. I question myself every way. To take my pills to get through the day. I feel numb, I feel dizzy, always sick. Is this growing pains? I'm sick of it. I can't comprehend, listen, understand. I don't know what to do, just hold my hand. I want to be accepted, understood. All these politics make me question if I'm good, but they see me as bulletproof. Oh, bulletproof. Can anybody hear me? There's no use. I'm scared of what will happen. There's no way to get through. There's no way. Bulletproof.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Your voice is absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
I love how you hit that high note. I was like, woo, that was incredible. How does it feel to sing and know that you just bring so much joy to people?
That's all I ever wanted. That's all I've ever wanted, is just to bring joy to people, or make someone feel that there's a song that relates to something that they're going through, or it just makes them forget things that have happened in their life. Like, there's nothing better than being a positive distraction to someone. And I feel like that's what music does to people. It makes you forget about the other trials and tribulations that you're going through, or it creates a memory of something that has happened in your life, because at some point in our lives, there's a song that comes on the radio or comes in our shuffle where we're like, I remember when I first heard this, or it reminds us of something. And I think that is the ultimate goal for a songwriter and a musician.
Well, you are definitely a very talented person, so I'm so thrilled for you. And as you know, the story is the Underdog Show, and we talked about overcoming adversity and providing hope and inspiration, and you definitely have given us so much to be hopeful for, and you've inspired us greatly, so thank you for that.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn, for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for letting me be this as an outlet for other people to tell their story, to inspire others. So I hope that I have touched others today, and you have definitely touched me in letting me use your platform. So thank you so much for having me today.
Well, thank you for being here. You definitely have touched me as well. And I feel like these things happen for a reason. There's a connection and it cannot be unbroken. So thank you again for that.
Yes, thank you.
All right. How can people get in touch with you? People on the radio cannot see the banner streaming. So who should reach out to you, and what's the best way to get in touch with you?
If you want to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram. My name is Allie, ALIRAMSAIER. I also have another one that's a bit user-friendly because my name is not common. It's Freckled, like I have freckles on my face, Singer, Freckled Singer. You can reach me out there. And my email address also, if you want to reach out to me personally, is Allie, ALI Performs, PERFORMS @gmail.com.
Wonderful. And your hair looks absolutely beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. I just got it done. I actually just finished I've been going through chemotherapy for an autoimmune disease, and my hair has thinned out so much, which broke my confidence, and I had to get my hair cut and done, and it makes me feel so much better for what I do have left with it. So thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
It's absolutely beautiful. And, I know we're out of time, but you touched on having an autoimmune illness. I have 3 actually. And it's amazing how we overcome these things. Like I have ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, and facial eczema. And I have to give myself this injection tonight for my face. But long story short, we keep going, right? So you just had chemotherapy and here you are singing. I mean, you look absolutely stunning. So what can you share with our audience about when you're faced with adversity, whatever it is, how can you keep showing up? Maybe you're in pain, maybe you're bedridden, maybe like with what I have, you're running to the bathroom 40 times a day. Like, how can you keep going forward and finding that spark of light, that inspiration to help you share your creative side?
The first thing I've learned how to do is that it's okay to be human, especially during this pandemic. It was okay to be honest with people and tell them what's going on with you. So much of us have been taught to just please be business only. But yes, if you're honest with yourself and with others, it helps you push through, because at the end of the day, everyone is going through something. So it's okay to have those days off that you need to recuperate, because if we're running on 15%, then we're going to end up crashing and burning. So it's okay to be in pain. It's okay to have your rest. It's okay to stick up for yourself, and then to be able to push through, find those outlets for yourself that make you feel like you've fulfilled yourself, whether it's through a work, creating your own business, or just doing a hobby, painting, writing. For me, it's playing piano and singing. Even though I do that as a career, it helps me out too. So just keep finding different ways that make you feel more human. And if it takes you 3 months, it's okay. If it takes you a week, it's okay. Just know that at the end of the day, we are all human, and it's okay to push through at your own pace.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. I just want to add on to that. Last night, we had our support group meeting for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, and we had a couple of new people join us. And part of what I want to say is that wherever you are in your journey, whatever you're going through, maybe you already went through something. Some people are finding diagnoses out right now. Some people are being diagnosed with something and they need a community of people. Maybe you've already overcome that and you think, oh, I don't want to be involved with a support group, or I don't really have time to help somebody. People, we need each other. We need each other. So somebody is ahead of where you are and they're looking back and they can help you. You're ahead of where somebody else is. So let's come together and really support each other, regardless of what your situation is. Don't live in silence. Don't live in isolation. Reach out to other people.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. It's been a pleasure having you here, and I look forward to having you back again. You're coming back, I think, on the 22nd, you mentioned.
Yes, on the 22nd. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
You're welcome here all the time. So I'm very happy for you, and I really appreciate your courage and your strength, and the fact that you took a situation where people were not being nice to you, people were bullying you, and look at you now.
Yes.
Look at you now. So there's something to be said about that. And I hope everybody taps into who they are inside and doesn't let other people's judgment of them keep them back from anything, because that's on that person. That's their stuff.
Yes, exactly. You're in charge of how you react, not how others react. So
exactly.
Don't bother you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So Allie and I are wrapping up the Underdog Show. It was great having you here. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.